Hello, 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 my sweets. Hello, my stars. I hope that you guys are doing absolutely wonderful. Welcome to your first members exclusive reading. So the majority voted on the topic or the theme of personal growth, kind of like tangible personal growth, what you might be working through right now in the 3D or just in more of a within your control kind of vibe, if you will. So because there's not too many of you yet over here, I'm just going to do a spread for all of you. And I set the intention that it would be themes and messages that will apply or resonate with all of you somehow. So we're going to get into it. We're going to look at what your current point of focus is, what is aligning you, what might be confusing you or throwing you off, what support you have, what your true intention or hope is behind the focus that you're currently kind of aimed at, what is coming up next for you, and then also what big picture theme, phase, or lesson you are working through. So we're just kind of going to try to give you some information on how you can continue to support and sustain yourself, and also give you a little bit of perspective as well, because I feel like those two elements are the things that help us the most with our personal growth journey, just kind of like gaining new insight and perspective, being able to zoom out, see things in a different way, and then also know what we have within reach that can assist us, right? That we can take advantage of or that we can be aware of. So we're going to mix oracle cards with the tarot, and I'm going to just kind of dive into the oracle cards first, and then we'll clarify with the tarot as we go, okay? So let's start with your current point of focus and see where you guys are aiming your attention right now. Peace. Okay. Well, that's a good place to put it if you're gonna aim your energy anywhere. So number 11, peace. Harmony, balance, perfection, equipoise, a sense of well-being, and favorable conditions, expansion. I didn't even know that equipoise was a word. Interesting. I actually really want to look up what the definition of that is quickly. I'm not sure, but I feel called. I'm sure it's some variation of everything else that's here, but just give me 1 second here. So I'm planning on making these readings for the members just not super chill as in like, I guess just more disarmed, more like personal. So I'm going to share more of myself here. I'm going to kind of just flow and vibe with you as if we are like best friends in my living room doing readings and just hanging out. So that's the vibes that you can expect. And I feel like very interesting things, like different messages come through when there is that space to just kind of be a little bit more relaxed with one another. So hopefully you guys don't mind that approach. Okay, equipoise, balance of forces or interests, balance or counterbalance. It's interesting because this does talk about balance, right? To be poised equally makes me really feel as though, again, there's like another party involved. So maybe one of your major focuses right now is to balance things or come into a state of peace surrounding another person or actually physically with another person. So yeah, even if someone is not in your life, you could be seeking internal harmony or balance surrounding a sort of situation here that involves another person. Even number 11 is kind of making me feel like that, two different parts. It could also be two different parts of yourself, of course, that you're trying to balance out here. But just because equipoise, yeah, and both parts could carry different like weight within you. So you could be balancing things out internally in terms of what you give your attention to and making sure that things are kind of in a state of harmony and well-being in that sense. Okay. let's clarify a little bit. Can you tell me more about peace here and why, or in what sense this is the major focus of, or for my stars? I'm going to refer to you guys as my stars, by the way, because it's just so much cuter than saying members. And also members sounds dirty to me. Blame it on my Scorpio energy, okay? And my horny Aries Venus. Just leave me alone, okay? We're calling you stars. Otherwise, my mind will go there every time I say members. I am 5 years old, in case you were wondering. Okay, tell me more about the current point of focus. Wow. Okay. You guys got the blank card in this deck. There's something about the unknown. There's something that you don't know or you cannot know currently, but you still need to make a decision, it feels like. A decision to either move towards something or to untether yourself from it. It feels there's some sort of transformation that's taking place in order to create temperance. And there's an element of the unknown here that you're having to take into consideration. So it feels kind of like what's going on right now is you're trying to create some form of, you're trying to reconcile something, create some form of closure. Even if it's not an ending, there's something that you're trying to reconcile through creating balance. But there's also this unknown element here. It feels like this is something from the past, and it may be something that you've ruminated over, and it could be an energy that has kind of drained you, and that's why you're seeking to sort of lay it to rest, so to speak. And again, it doesn't have to mean the final closure of something, but I do feel like coming to terms with something, or this is more of like a stabilization of your personal truth, because there are things that you can't possibly know in the situation, is what it feels like. And that's okay. You can still find peace, obviously, or create peace for yourself, even if somebody else doesn't give it to you. Is there anything else? This is coming through as very mental and intuitive, though, like third eye and throat chakra kind of energy. So how you relate to a certain situation in terms of how you talk to yourself about it. So your internal dialogue about something, how you tell the story internally. You can tell it in a way that is like very open-ended or chaotic, or you could paint yourself the victim, or you could paint someone else or something the villain, right? Or this is like finding a way to, it feels like, take everything into consideration, not dilute the truth for your own means, because that would be just fake harmony, fake peace, right? Telling yourself lies to appease yourself, essentially. It feels like you're trying to take everything that you do know into consideration, as well as leave some room for what you can't possibly know. And you're looking to stabilize some sort of internal narrative or situation or state, is what that feels like. Even more than externally. I feel like this is more internal for most of you. Okay. So what is currently helping you align more with this focus or this goal? Indecision. Okay. It's Venus in Libra energy. Venus in Libra energy. Excuse me. My throat has been acting up a little bit. I myself am going through a throat chakra activation for sure, so please bear with me. Feels like you guys may be also, though. I guess we'll find out as we move more through the spread. We'll kind of get a clearer picture, but this is super interesting, right? Because Libra and energy does talk very much about harmony, balance, what is right, finding that equilibrium where there's a sense of well-being for both sides. Or it is just, it is fair, right? Indecision, though, it talks about still weighing things out, having not completely chosen a path just yet. But they're saying that this is actually aligning you with peace. So it's almost coming through as like, don't agree with yourself all the fucking time kind of energy. Like, you're challenging yourself and your perspective maybe of what has happened, or you're trying to see things from a more, it's not exactly objective, but it's more healthily detached, like a non-triggered space. You could feel that your triggers or just your strong feelings surrounding something have been throwing off your ability to stay in a state of peace. But there is something that's still undecided here. But this is actually helping lead you to a state of lasting peace, is what I heard. Tell me more about this indecision energy. Okay. The Four of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands. Okay, yeah. It feels like there's something that you have not been in a state of peace about, and you were decided about this thing previously. So this is something it feels that you're revisiting or you're opening up, because whatever you were holding tightly onto, or kind of rigid about in regards to this in the past, it feels like it was making you defensive. And it feels like it was adding a state of internal conflict, chaos, and tension. So that's why it feels that you're kind of loosening your grip on maybe how you have historically perceived something, and you're putting yourself willingly back into a state of indecision about something. Maybe opening your mind, right? That's kind of how I'm getting this. Opening your mind so that you can see things differently if there is, in fact, more to be seen. And this is benefiting you. This is helping you a lot. It's interesting because even on this card, right, there's like this shadowy person crying here on the other side of the tree. And then on this side, there's like an angel in the light. And with Libra, the energy of diplomacy is coming through. There's two sides to every story. So you might be trying to see something now that you're removed, far enough removed from somebody else's perspective, or from just a higher perspective, like taking the high road, because you know that ultimately that is what will bring peace to your soul. So yeah, it feels like you could be reassessing something from more of a diplomatic place, or just, like I said, with healthy detachment, because there was not healthy detachment here. This is like you were holding on to the way that you thought something was, but there's been some sort of realization, I think, or they're just saying it now, that this was actually making you it's like it was putting you in a bit of a state of contraction. Maybe it was putting you into a defensive state, because it's like by saying, no, this is how I know it happened. And you can still have your own emotional truth for your side, right? But it's like you're trying to see the big picture of a situation, because the truth, even the personal truth that you had settled on, there's something about it that was still making you defensive in your heart space specifically. Something about the way you were seeing things, and how that was translating into your state of being, your overall state of being was being affected by that in some sort of negative way, it feels. Or it was just shutting you down. It was closing you off in some sort of way. Let's see if we can move this out. Yeah. Some sort of holding pattern there. So this is really positive that you're letting go of this, because I'm seeing that it's opening you up. It might feel a little bit confusing, like more confusing in the interim here, the middle phase, Because even this kind of sounds a little counterintuitive, right? It's like you're seeking peace and balance, but you're coming at it from an undecided space. But it's the tool of indecision. It's not staying there, but it's cracking yourself open to see something that potentially you'd missed or something that you're able to see now because you're in a different place. And that's why that is a strength for you. That's why that's actually helping to align you with your overall goal or focus. Because this is contraction and this talks about expansion. Okay, so what is something that may be adding confusion rather than alignment here to this whole situation? The Banshee. Okay, it's number 44. We have master numbers here showing up. There's 11 and 44 so far. A call between worlds. A call between worlds. By the way, if it sounds like there is an elephant upstairs, it is my Rottweiler. My Rottweiler. I just got this deck not long ago, so I'm looking in the book here to see what this talks about. I know what a banshee is, right? Because they say like a banshee cry. But I just want to see what this book specifically says. This is the Celtic Healing Oracle. It says a call between worlds, invoking expansion. So I just mentioned expansion versus contraction. It says the banshee's cry announces the threshold between the worlds of life and death. Appearing as a wild and haggish woman, the banshee is a messenger from the other world at the time of death. Coming by night, she shrieks and sobs outside a home or hospital as death draws near. Wow. Okay. So it says some aspect of your life or the life of your community is dying. The banshee's call signifies a time when the threshold of the spirit world draws close. As messenger from the other world, she beckons to you across a divide, encouraging you to see dying to certain aspects of this life as thresholds to an expanded vision. By fearing death in any aspect of your life, you create needless anxiety. Approaching her generously will bring certainty of the other world and afterlife in general. By looking closely, you'll see that death is always near, life and death a seamless passage from one form to another. Draw your attention to the aspect of your question that seeks death and consider the possibilities that beckon from the other side. In this way, by seeing beyond her fearsome aspect, the banshee's call will seem reassuring or even hopeful. So what are you ready to allow to change form? What in your life wants that seamless passage from one form to another? Because everything is energy and everything is alchemy and nothing truly dies. It always is just changing, shifting form, right? So this is an energy that's ready to expand, it feels like. Something like we said, that has been contractive, something that has been defensive or stagnant or rigid. You're reopening this cold case here. It feels like, and you're seeking to reconcile that. But this is talking about what is confusing you. So it could just be that you are in this in-between state, right? And there's a lot happening at once. As this card mentions, death and life are they're just a hop, skip, and a jump from one another, right? There's just that little tiny space in between. And then you're in another form. So one leads to another and they're tied intricately together. So there could be some aspects here that are falling apart for you and other aspects that are coming together simultaneously. You could feel yourself being kind of overall very in between worlds in regards to how you think about something. And depending on what it is that you're seeking peace surrounding, like how big of a thing this is, how much confusion and, maybe heaviness or weight this has brought to your life, not having clarity, it could feel really significant. It could feel very confusing though, because it almost feels like energy. There's a lot of energy, but it's in this in-between space. So it doesn't necessarily feel like it's moving, although it is. It could just feel... I think that something is meant to hit you right now. Something is meant to strike you in this open space. Can you tell me more about why this in-between world state is confusing my beautiful stars? Let's see. The Ten of Pentacles in reverse, because it feels like lack, it feels like scarcity, it feels unstable. It feels unstable. It might feel out of reach. It's interesting though, because the Nine of Pentacles is here and the Ten of Pentacles in reverse is here with the Knight of Wands in reverse. So it's not an unstable space. You're not unstable. You are not, for some of you, you're moving, you want to move out of a state of being single into a space of being in a relationship. There's some sort of internal state of tension or conflict surrounding that and what that would look like and what that would require. That is testing some very independent part of you, but it's like you're realizing that some sort of independence has maybe not been as sovereign and independent as you initially thought. Maybe some part of this was actually being influenced by some internal instability or something that has not been perfectly balanced. So for some of you, your old state of being or functioning is in a bit of a state of upheaval and turmoil right now, where it feels like that. Like, again, there's a lot of almost restless energy that wants to go somewhere, but it's not in the next world yet. So it can't hit the ground running just yet. But for some of you, this is like internal changes that you're making. You're coming to peace with yourself, or maybe you're laying something from the past to rest, or you're getting really clear about it so that you can be at peace with it, so that you can then pursue something else. Because it feels like you're quite secure, you're quite happily, like you're happily independent. You're not codependent. You're not seeking something to complete you. But it feels like you do want to make the move from the 9 to the 10 of Pentacles. So even if that doesn't have to do with inviting someone new into your life, right? Like getting married, having a family kind of thing, then this still is an energy of expansion in terms of the physical realm. So you might want to become more healthy in some sort of way. You might want to take on some sort of new business endeavor or financial endeavor, or creative endeavor. But there's something that needs to be reconciled first. But this internal, in-between space that you're in right now could feel a little bit rocky, a little bit choppy, and it may be confusing you, although it is opening up a space of expansion. It kind of just feels like the eye of the storm a little bit, and waiting for everything that's spinning around you to calm. So yeah, that does feel a little bit unsettling. And I think that part of that that's tied to this is this unknown element. So this whole state of being could be why your current focus actually is peace as well. It's like they're playing off of one another. Zadkiel. I just got this deck and it is so beautiful. It's an angelic deck. It's 44 again. Wow, okay. Angel numbers or master numbers, repeating numbers, synchronicities might be very significant. But I would watch for 44. That could be a significant validation or synchronicity for you in some sort of way. You might also want to look up, though, 4411 or repeating 4s and 1s, what that means in terms of numerology. Okay, but Zadkiel, it says mercy me on the bottom. So I am going to read this whole thing from the book. They just got this, and I'm really finding it super interesting reading about sort of these archetypes. So let's see. Number 44. Quite significant. We also have the 4 of Pentacles there, so 4s are pretty big. We also have 7 and 7. Wow. Okay, so 11, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 7, 7. You guys are very aligned on your journey right now. You're very much on your path. You're not on a side quest. You're not on a detour. You are right where you need to be, right when you need to be there. That is just coming through extremely clear with all of those. It's coming through as a message of alignment. Okay, so number 44. Wow, this is the last card of the deck as well. The very last one, which I always think is significant. So let's see what this is. Okay, so Zadkiel is an angel connected to Jupiter. And it says, mercy me. Zadkiel, whose name means the righteousness of God, is considered the patron angel of those who seek to forgive and be forgiven. Wow. They emanate as a light of mercy for those wrestling with the aftermath of their decisions, offering divine pardon for human frailty and healing through reconciliation. This is so interesting. Zadkiel is associated with the biblical parable of Abraham being tasked with sacrificing his son Isaac as a test of faith, stopping him before he could carry out the act. Their dagger represents not only this story, but also the ability to cut through that which cloaks your vision and causes actions that aren't aligned with your highest self. This messenger prompts us to ask challenging questions. Have we been holding on to grievances that cloud our hearts? Have we strayed from our intended course with the actions that we now regret? How have these choices shaped the person we are today, and how can we move forwards freed from these burdens? When Zadkiel appears in your reading, it signals a time for forgiveness, both given and received. This does not mean that you should forget, but instead seek to feel a greater sense of compassion. They remind us that mercy can cut through the chains of resentment, allowing us to step into a timeline in which our spirits are unencumbered by the weight of past errors. Wow. There's also a little magic ritual that comes with each of these. And I do feel like some of you may want to do this. It's quite simple, so I am just going to tell you what it is, okay? So it says to do this on a Thursday evening after sunset, because Thursday is the day that is associated with Jupiter, I'm guessing. It says find a quiet place under the sky and light a candle. Write down on a piece of paper the names or situations in which you seek forgiveness or may need to forgive. Fold the paper and hold it close to your heart. Ask for Zadkiel's presence to convey the sentiment to those it is intended for. Then safely burn the paper in the candle's flame, letting the smoke carry your intentions into the future. As the paper turns to ash, envision a bridge between now and what could be as you lift your heart and open space for new beginnings. Okay. That really tied together everything that we've talked about so far and brought some perspective to the reading. That is incredibly powerful. So now I'm feeling this energy of, there isn't a little bit of an energy of regret here. And I'm not sure if it's like you are being, it could be many things, right? You could be being kind of hard on yourself or critical towards yourself about a past decision or the way that something played out. Like, did I do enough? Did I mess it up? Was I too much or not enough? All of these kinds of things that have haunted you around something could have kept you in a state of instability and inner tension. But there's also the element of forgiving somebody else. And again, this feels like someone who has held their ground or does not even feel sorry for something maybe, or they maybe don't even recognize that they did something wrong or that they hurt you. But it feels like this is an energy of something or someone that has not taken personal accountability. And so you are now tasked with doing the work of creating closure for yourself, which can be very difficult, but also incredibly liberating and rewarding. The more you do this for yourself, the more you stabilize your personal power and your own internal state of unshakable harmony and balance. It's coming through as the Temperance card. And then that Temperance actually is Sagittarius, which is connected to Jupiter as well. So there could be something with Jupiter and expansion. Like you are doing this work at this time because it's a huge time for manifestation for you, or jumping timelines. 33 minutes, 33 seconds when I said that on the recording. This is the energy that wants to come through and support you, or already is supporting you in the work that you're doing. So your heart may be softening as you open up to see both sides of something, or look at things just differently from a higher perspective. Again, potentially like Hanged Man energy, flipping things upside down, being the devil's advocate, looking at the exact opposite stance of the one that you've held might be beneficial to you. I'm not saying you have to take or stick with that, but just kind of play the devil's advocate. It's that don't agree with yourself all the time energy. You will be in an energy of mercy and compassion and softness, tenderness while you do this work, if you ask to be. So it's kind of like pieces coming in waves or layers here for you as you settle this. For some of you, this is also somebody else's state of indecision, that they're not making a choice. Whether they're still in your life or not, there's an element to this person's energy that is defensive and holding on to their indecision. So this could be someone that couldn't choose you in some sort of way, or just did not know what they could give you, what they had to offer. Someone who is protecting their right to be undecided. So this could have been someone that even just left things up in the air. There's an element of that, the unknown. And if that's the case for some of you, then this person doesn't even know what they want. That's why they're so defensive and doubled down, right? They feel like pressured in some way due to some sort of personal insecurity and lack of balance. And so that unknown element that's coming from them, you are reconciling that and you're creating your own like little bubble of peace. But then part of that is forgiving this person for being where they're at and the impact that it has had on you, maybe. Understanding that this is a them thing and a projection ultimately. They have some sort of cycle that they have not closed that is creating confusion and indecision for them, it feels like. But yeah, you could also have an unfinished cycle open with this person, and I feel like you're still offering energy to the past if that's the case, and you know this. It's almost like this is an energetic leak. Sometimes you might feel this person's indecision if you're very sensitive, empathetic, telepathic, psychic, whatever, right? You could pick up on this person's energy of indecision, and then because your own internal state is still like a little bit wavy, not totally settled, you might get sucked into that, and you notice that it keeps you in an in-between space. So yeah, it seems like you're seeking to cement something. And that doesn't mean that I'm seeing this as being very mutable and in flow. It doesn't mean that your peace can be easily lost, but saying that you're cementing something just sounded wrong, because you're not doing this. You're not like making something rigid. You're not coming to like an absolute truth, right? You're just deciding on a way of seeing things based on what you do know from a place of mercy and compassion that allows you to move forwards with grace, with strength, with this energy of balance and not being easily thrown off. It's like you're you're refining a truth that you can come back to when you feel like you get a little bit thrown off or when you feel a little bit insecure. And it doesn't mean that if you learn more in the future, then that truth can't change. But this is kind of like a means of transportation or movement. It's like a vehicle. This piece is a vehicle for movement and transportation from one world or one timeline to the next. And it feels like you haven't been able to do that yet surrounding whatever this is. Something has kept you kind of stuck. So your intention or hope behind this focus, what you're hoping to actually achieve with this piece. Yeah, it's dispersion. Number 59, diffuse negativity, restore harmony, circulate, revitalize, dissolve divisions, and lighten up. Very interesting, because what do you think of when you think about dissolving divisions and diffusing negativity, restoring harmony? I think of forgiveness. There is something here where you're being asked to soften around the edges a little bit. And your intention, your hope is that coming to a place of fear, or not fear, coming out of a state of fear. There's something about fear, because the word fear isn't even on here, but yet I said it. Some of this energy could be fear-based that you're picking up on, this undecided energy. It could be not just confusion or like irresponsibility or restlessness or irrationality, but it might actually be based in fear, whatever is kind of creating this or fueling this indecision. But there's something that you're feeling that does feel heavy. It does feel dense. It feels, negative in a way, just like something that you don't want to carry, or negative in terms of it is throwing off your state of harmony. It's not allowing the energy to circulate naturally. It might be draining you, like I said before, and also maybe creating division either in your own mind in the way that you look at things, causing you to go kind of into like a judgmental or critical you versus them kind of vibe. And yeah, your overall intention through seeking peace is to resolve that, diffuse that, allow that to disperse, break up that energy, lighten it up, and essentially alchemize it. I feel really called to look at what the book says about this. These descriptions are pretty long, so I don't think I'm going to read the whole thing, but I am going to look at it. Okay, so it says, a time of dispersion is a subtle but potent influence that works towards wholeness with the capacity to melt, scatter, or dislodge whatever obstacles and rigidities have been hindering unity. Okay. Then it also talks about when there's communication breaks between people, when communication breaks down between people, the relationship suffers. And in the same way, there can be a communication breakdown within the self when you compartmentalize or deny your own feelings or thoughts. You may end up withdrawing or alienating, whether the symptoms manifest within yourself, your work, or your relationships with others. Wow, it says, in the most profound sense, the opportunity presented by a time of dispersion is to reunite us with spirit, reawakening our capacity to experience wonder and igniting our desire to express the inexpressible. That is so beautiful. Yeah, this is about being able to return to a state of openness and trust, but that's only possible through being strong enough to withdraw from anything that perpetuates the status quo that you don't want to continue. So it feels like you are trying to trust that unity can be restored through gentleness, through an attempt to understand your own feelings or someone else's feelings, and melt some sort of hardness, but you are seeking sincere, like you have sincere intention and devotion to this. It feels like you just want to be relaxed. You want to be able to sympathize, but still hold your own. Sympathize, or maybe even empathize, but not take on someone's suffering or emotional chaos. This is also about, though, softening the ego. Not needing to be on top. Allowing yourself to be equal to the situation rather than needing to feel on top of it or above it. So yeah, there's a lot that you guys are processing through, and that is your intention here. I think that is absolutely beautiful. So there's something that you've realized this has been bringing into your life that you don't want to carry forwards. And your intention in seeking this peace, seeking to resolve this through opening it up again and looking at it again, is to reconcile that. This is all tying together very seamlessly. I feel like you have a clear intention as well for that to be the case, because the energy is coming through as extremely streamlined, very present, very intentional, like you know what you're doing. And even though there are unknown elements, you are coming through already as being quite self-aware, just to recognize all of this. But it still is taking patience, and it still is taking a cracking open of the heart, a removing of defenses and rigidity from around the heart. So this is what is coming up next for you. Yeah. Empathy, Moon and Pisces energy. You're getting there, friend. You're getting there slowly but surely. The softening effect. It's happening. You see how the mercy, the forgiveness just trickles right down into empathy and an openness here. But with boundaries, because you are also showing yourself that mercy. You are also showing yourself this kindness. It is equally balanced in weight. Equipoise. So you will be tapping into this energy of empathy in the near future here surrounding this, which is telling me that you do get into alignment with that energy of forgiveness. Can you tell me more about the energy that's coming up next along this, along their personal journey of growth and expansion here surrounding this spread specifically? Tell me more about empathy. I honestly think something clicks in a very powerful way, and your edges soften. The World in reverse and the Ten of Cups. Wow. For some of you, your empathy, your forgiveness, and your kindness, that energy is very much felt by another person. So you know how that ritual said to ask that the sentiment of forgiveness be taken as a message and received by the other person. That's what this feels like. Because again, it feels like there's an unopened cycle, and you are finding almost this 10 of Cups within yourself. You're creating it even maybe in the absence of somebody else. You're offering that same kindness to them. I'm channeling lyrics from a Black song. The artist is Black. And he says, haven't I already shown, what does it say? What it's like. Something about what it's like to treat someone's heart like it's your own. So you're offering in equal parts yourself and something else, mercy, or two parts of yourself, forgiveness maybe. Could just be the shadow and the light. You're integrating some more, a part of yourself that's been in a state of unease. Bringing yourself into internal alignment, closing out a cycle where there's been some sort of resistance to that so that you can let more joy in. And there could have been a lack of empathy or a very critical energy within you that was kind of preventing you from that or made you afraid of that. This could have even been something that was conditioned in or that you witnessed, like a caregiver was like this. It was your family, your upbringing in some way, and then some sort of conditioning. It's coming through almost like as a mistrust of love and security being able to coexist, or the feeling that love is always going to destabilize, almost is how that's coming through. That insecurity, that love always brings out insecurity in people or brings out like a reactionary defensiveness. You could be someone that loves very, very deeply. You have a lot of empathy and care and love to give. And you could feel that when you give it to certain people, they get very triggered by that, which is something that happens, It's like in this day and age, very few people trust you enough to let you really love them, which is kind of sad. So this is coming towards you, and I really, really like that. I love this energy because it's like even in the unreconcilable spaces, you're choosing to pour love on them. And it's not the kind of love that is waiting for something or seeking something outside of itself. Because everything that you're offering to the situation, you're also pouring into yourself in equal parts. And that's where the temperance is coming from. That's where the unshakable energy of balance that is ready to be propelled into a state of expansion is rooted. Love that. Okay, so lastly, the big picture theme, phase, or lesson. So all of this from a little bit of a more zoomed out perspective, although I feel like they already gave us a lot of perspective. Let's see. The Hag. It's interesting that we have the Banshee and the Hag, which are both like witchy kind of women, scary women, take on a scary form. Hag, the initiator, beginnings. Okay, let's read this to close things off. We're out. Let's see what this has to say in the book. Wow, yeah. Invoking readiness. It says, in Irish myth, a ghastly hag symbolizes the sovereign goddess of Ireland in the quest for a rightful heir and king. When the hag mates with the rightful heir, she signals her sovereignty by becoming a lovely maiden. Through her, he is joined to the land. In folk tales, the hag births the mountains, valleys, and creatures of the land and sea. In testing us, the hag initiates beginnings and rightful change. If you choose this card, the hag is testing your readiness for change. Her presence signals the potential for significant shifts, especially in your business and professional life. That's that 10 of Pentacles, I feel. New beginnings are possible, even likely, even if the present circumstances are unpleasant. Over time, this unmasking of your identity will strip the veils that separate you from your true being. Welcoming her approach signals your readiness for a shift in destiny. If you embrace her across the threshold of your life, you may live a life quite different from what you can imagine now. When troubles arise, they may represent the presence of the hag, artfully disguised. There is no way to prepare except to watch for her. She comes to test your nerve and willingness to live in a new way. Welcoming her signifies a ready and awakened consciousness. Having crossed the threshold of danger, many things and anythings are possible. Ooh, so it's almost like facing your fear right off the bat. And then it turns into a maiden, a lovely maiden, and it's like, psych, just making sure you were really gonna go there. Like you could handle a little jump scare before, you know. I love that because it's kind of spirit being like, okay, there's a new beginning. New beginnings are scary. There's a lot of unknown. We know you have this piece. We're just going to give you a little boo just to make sure that you're good. And then you're going to be in this whole new timeline. But I love how it says that you're ready for a shift in destiny and that this is a time of unmasking your identity that is stripping veils that separate you from your true being. It's making me think of this energy of dispersion and how it said that it truly connects you to spirit. So it feels like this is actually quite huge, what you're going through right now, much bigger than maybe what you even realize. Because it's like, this is the prerequisite work to an incredibly significant new beginning that could have, again, like very like huge implications that have to do with expansion, especially in not only soul, but also in the physical 3D realm. This is an initiation here. Can you break down where you were standing? Can you remove the walls, the defenses, the rigidity? Can you soften and dissolve all of the edges? Can you truly make yourself open through love and forgiveness and mercy, empathy for others and yourself? Because only then will the cycle close and will you be truly prepared to leap formlessly into a new beginning to be molded in equal parts as you co-create that with your higher self, with spirit, right? But this is super powerful. Okay, let's just see if there's anything that wants to come out to clarify that, to close things off. But loving this. If you feel open, then let me know how this resonates for you in the comments. But this looks beautiful. It's quite the process, but you seem to know what you're doing, at least relatively so, as much as we can along this journey. You're very backed by spirit, though, and that's because you're choosing a path of peace and love. Okay. The 10 of Swords in reverse. Yeah. The weight that you're dropping is big. I split the deck to the Wheel of Fortune. Again, a shift in your destiny, a shift in your fate. And the next timeline that you're moving into, it does not hold the same experiences that you've gone through. It's like in reconciling and closing out this, you're releasing it. It's not going to replay or repeat in your life. So this is almost like a promise as well. If you move through this initiation, if you move through the fear, if you move through the pain and the discomfort, it will disperse and it won't return. It will alchemize into something else. And there's a lightness here on the path that you're choosing to walk now. So allow yourself to look forward to that, no matter what this process no matter how it challenges you or what it evokes in you, because there could be, again, some heaviness or some confusion that's coming up to the surface, but it's being reconciled. And I think that you're expecting this because you're already pointing towards, your point of focus is peace and harmony. And you're doing that by reopening something again. So I don't feel like any of this is really all that surprising to you. But hopefully it does validate your process and give you a little clarity on, the direction that you're moving and what is coming in next. But it looks like you're doing beautiful work. And yeah, that's your first reading. I love you guys so much. I hope that you're doing well. I will see ya next week. I'll probably put up a poll for your next reading theme unless I feel super intuitively called to do something specific. And I'll probably try to post your readings every weekend I don't know if it will always be on Saturday, but just so you guys have some, like, kind of what to expect. I will try to post around the same time, and I think I'm just going to aim for the weekend so that, yeah, if I ever do lives, like if I don't just pre-post or post a reading that has been pre-recorded, if I decide to do lives with you guys, then most of you will probably be more free, I'm guessing, on the weekends. So anyways, that is the plan. Thank you so much for being here and for supporting me. I love you so very much. I wish you the best with this, but it looks like a badassery. So carry on, gangsters. Damn, it feels good to be a gangster. And I will talk to you guys again very soon. Mwah. Bye.